Hey there YouTube, it's Monday night, which means it's time for Raw on USA. WWE just finished up its second pay-per-view in as many weeks, so there's plenty of fallout to discuss. But first, if you haven't done so already, check out my action figure review of Payback. If you're new here, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can talk to me over on Twitter at PSUOptimus, or see all my best figure photography over on Instagram at WrestlingOptimus. For now, we're headed into the Thunderdome. So for a review and some fantasy booking, let's take it over to the action figures. Commentary gives us an update on Drew McIntyre's head injury. It's not good. Then they explain that tonight we're getting a series of matches to determine the competitors in the main event, where a WWE title shot is on the line for Clash of Champions. Randy Orton is in the ring cutting a promo. After losing his WWE Championship opportunity at SummerSlam, and losing clean to Keith Lee literally last night, for some reason, he still feels entitled to a rematch at Clash of Champions without having to qualify tonight, just because he's Randy Orton. That brings out Keith Lee. His music still sucks. He says he understands why Randy would be doing his best to forget about that loss, because even though Orton is the so-called greatest ever, last night he was forced to bask in Keith Lee's glory. Randy wants to be handed a title shot, but perhaps since Keith beat the Legend Killer, he's earned a title shot. Just as Keith is warning Randy that his friend Drew has some receipts waiting for him, Dolph Ziggler attacks from behind. This leads to their qualifying match after a commercial break. Keith Lee's power-based moveset is a perfect pairing with Dolph's legendary bumping. Lee seems unfazed by nearly all of Ziggler's normal offense and heel tricks, countering each by ragdolling Dolph around the ring. He does manage to hit both a Famouser and a zigzag, but an incredible spinning power slam serves as the prelude to a spirit bomb, making Keith Lee the first wrestler to qualify for tonight's triple threat match. By the way, Dolph Ziggler is on the list of Optimus because he's a cheap Shawn Michaels knockoff and I hate him. That is all. The new women's tag team champions are getting interviewed backstage. They quibble about who's more important to the team when Asuka interrupts. That pisses off Shayna, but the Empress just shoves her aside and stares down Nia before walking out. My fantasy booking is for this team to be over. Just let Shayna dominate like she did in NXT. Adam Pearce lectures the security team that they better not let Retribution wreak havoc tonight like they did last week. Spoiler alert, they fail. Asuka comes out for an interview. She's asked who should be the next challenger for her Raw Women's Championship. She says she's beaten many greats. Bayley, Becky, Nia, Ruby, Sasha, but Asuka was ready for them all. This brings out Mickie James, followed by Natalya with Lana. They say Mickey's had her chances. She's failed to evolve since 1998, and if she wants the title, she'll have to go through them. A melee ensues and the babyfaces stand tall. Is this what the women's division has been reduced to outside of Bayley and Sasha? And they say AEW is bad. Cedric Alexander is hanging out backstage with the Viking Raiders and Demi the Bachelor Girl. She says she's impressed by Cedric's refusal to join the Hurt Business. She wishes them all luck and kisses Ivar as Angel Garza creepily looks on from the shadows. Out in the ring, Asuka is on commentary for a match between Mickie James and Lana. This is strange enough because of her limited English, but it's only made worse by audio problems that leave her mute, which Tom blames on Byron. When she's finally able to speak, Asuka says she doesn't care about Mickey's credentials because she's the champion. After a short match, Mickie hits a Mick kick for the win. Asuka isn't impressed and says, "Bring it on." Charlie Caruso is standing outside Aleister Black's door when Randy Orton comes out with a suspicious look on his face. We get another appearance from the backstage interview ring with the Iconics. They're asked about the stipulation in their match tonight where the losing team must break up. They recount how they've been friends since high school back in Australia, and they rose up through the ranks of WWE together, going on to win the women's tag team titles at WrestleMania. Only a half-wit would think they'd let some snot-nosed hooligans destroy what they've built. Their win tonight is going to be iconic. Rumor is Vince McMahon is very high on Peyton Royce, but not so much on Billie Kay. Losing this match might be his convenient way of separating them so he can push her. In our next qualifying match, Randy Orton takes on Kevin Owens. KO comes out fired up, but during his entrance, he's jumped from behind by Aleister Black. I guess we know what he discussed with Randy. Owens is laid out with a black mass and thrown back into the ring. The ref tries to say he isn't able to compete, but he pleads to start the match anyway. That's a bad idea as Randy immediately hits him with an RKO to advance to the main event. The Mysterio family is backstage. Ray says he wanted closure against Seth tonight for what he put their family through, but unfortunately, he was injured at Payback. However, his loss is Dominic's gain. Dominic knows he's the underdog, but his confidence is at an all-time high, and tonight he's got a 619 with Monday Night Messiah written all over it. The Hurt Business is in the VIP lounge for the first time under the Thunderdome. MVP makes a couple of lame Mad Max references, then brings out the new United States champion, Bobby Lashley. He brags about beating Apollo at Payback and says they're not done with him. They turn their attention to Cedric Alexander, bringing him out. MVP notices Cedric is alone and asks if he's had a change of heart. Alexander says hell no, and he didn't come alone. The Viking Raiders then attack. This leads to a 6-man tag match. Cedric plays the babyface in peril for most of the match, getting isolated and beaten down by the Hurt Business. Just when it looks like he's about to finally make the tag, Lashley and Benjamin attack the Viking Raiders on the apron. This distracts MVP, however, and Alexander gets the surprise roll-up victory. Bobby and Shelton go to attack Cedric afterwards, but MVP stops them, seemingly in a show of respect. It's all a ruse, though, as after a commercial break, we see the Hurt Business beating up Cedric in the back. He's saved by Apollo and Ricochet. Sorry, but this 3-vs-3 battle has gotten old. Per usual, my fantasy booking is to have Cedric Alexander join the Hurt Business, and let them move on to a new feud, like with the Street Profits and Viking Raiders, since there's a built-in story because they helped out Cedric earlier tonight. Next is the match between the Riott Squad and the Iconics to determine which team stays together. Liv takes most of the damage early on before Ruby gets the hot tag. Liv takes Peyton to the outside as Billie Kay and Riott exchange roll-up attempts in the ring. Eventually, Ruby comes out on top and the Riott Squad are your winners. Okay, I have a huge problem with this, but not for the reason you're thinking. Vince is going to do whatever he wants, but you're talking about breaking up a long-standing tag team. That's a big freaking deal, similar to a hair versus hair match. Both teams should be giving it their all to the bitter end, and certainly shouldn't be losing to a roll-up in a short match. This should have been a slugfest until someone was so beaten up that they couldn't kick out. What a horribly disappointing way to break up this iconic team. Yeah, I said it. Seth Rollins confronts his disciple about their loss at Payback where Murphy ate the pin. He calls Murphy a disgrace and tells him to get out of his sight. He'll beat Dominic Mysterio on his own. He smacks Murphy on the back of the head as he leaves the ring. Murphy pauses at the top of the ramp before getting attacked by Dominic as Seth laughs. Dominic and Seth have an outstanding TV match. I really enjoyed Dom's style in the ring. He has a great look and, unlike his dad, believable size. At one point he gets the upper hand and delivers the 619 as promised, but misses the frog splash. This leads to a curb stomp and Seth Rollins gets the win. With that, he becomes the final participant in the triple threat main event. After the match, he gets a cheap shot, second curb stomp in. Like I said last week, my fantasy booking is to team Dominic up with Humberto Carrillo. They have a lot in common and wrestle a similar style, plus I think he could help with Humberto's slight language gap. I feel they, along with Andrade and Angel Garza, represent a new breed of talented, charismatic, unmasked luchadors. Apparently, Titus O'Neil requested to be on Raw Underground tonight so he could show off a side of him we've never seen before. He opens this episode by choking out some jobber, then beating the crap out of another. Riddick Moss steps up and does a good job of making his fighting look like a shoot. Titus, on the other hand, well, let's just say he accidentally tried to use a DDT. They brawl into the crowd, Titus lays out some guy in a Hawaiian shirt, then, back on the mat, Riott kicks Titus in the nuts and cold cocks him in the head for the knockout. Backstage, Angelo Dawkins unveils his scouting report on Andrade, Angel Garza, and Zelina Vega. He asks what Tranquilo is, questions if Angel is wealthy, and hints at Zelina's love of all things Disney while joking that she's too short for the rides. Oh, and she poisons people. Akira Tozawa pulls into the parking garage driving a minivan with his ninjas. Unfortunately, his name isn't on the list. When he goes to inspect the list, the pages are all blank. He tears off the parking attendant's jacket, revealing a referee's shirt. R-Truth sneaks up from behind and rolls up Tozawa to win his 39th 24/7 championship. Tozawa throws the ref in his van and takes off after Truth, accidentally leaving a ninja behind. The Street Profits come out to their usual shower of solo cups for a tornado tag team match against Vega's boys. Demi the Bachelor Girl seems to really get around, as she's now accompanying Angel to the ring. What happened with Ivar? Almost immediately, we get one of my favorite spots, the Tower of Doom. It's a surprisingly brutal affair with lots of stiff shots and big slams. But during Montez Ford's rope shake, the lights flicker, startling everyone. Angel Garza grabs Demi and bolts. Confused, Montez goes for the cover on Andrade, just as Retribution jumps out from the crowd. It looks like there's at least 10 of them tonight. The masked group beats down everyone, including Zelina, then storm to the back. Adam Pearce reams out security for letting Retribution into the Thunderdome. The Iconics are in Raw Underground for some reason to see the debut of 4 horsewomen of MMA member Jessamine Duke. She decimates a jobber, and when a crowd member tries to stop her, fellow horsewoman Marina Shafir taps her out. It looks like the Iconics are going to take them both on, but Peyton betrays her friend and throws her onto the mat alone. Billy's laid out with a single kick, and it appears the rumors of a Peyton push are coming true. Ricochet and Cedric Alexander are pumping up Apollo for his Raw Underground match against Shelton Benjamin. Charlie Caruso says they've had a string of bad luck lately and asks if this is a wise idea. Apollo says losing the United States Championship just made him more hungry, and apparently they're going to defeat the Hurt Business with the power of friendship. Legitimate wrestler Shelton Benjamin takes on Uber athlete Apollo Crews in Raw Underground next. Their fight spills to the outside where, of course, Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, MVP, and Bobby Lashley break out into a brawl. All 3 members of the Hurt Business get the upper hand on a babyface, and together they stand tall. Demi is mad at Angel for abandoning everyone. He claims he's only looking out for her safety until Retribution comes barging in. Angel abandons Demi too as she chases after him. Our main event is the triple threat match to determine the number 1 contender for the WWE Championship. At the start, Randy fakes an alliance with Seth, only to immediately roll out of the ring saying he's already worked for the night. This betrayal upsets Seth, leaving him exposed to an attack by Keith. After a while, the heels acknowledge Lee's threat and team up to take him out. It's short-lived though, when Orton nails Rollins with a draping DDT. On the outside, Keith launches Randy with one of his signature bounces, then slams Seth on the announcer's desk. He drags Rollins back into the ring and delivers a spirit bomb, but he's hit with an RKO out of nowhere. Randy makes sure to roll up Seth for the win. So we're getting a rematch at Clash of Champions, which they kind of telegraphed all night, talking about Drew's fractured jaw at Orton's hands. I will say, with all the talk about pushing Keith Lee to the moon, they actually had me believing for a second that he was going to win. Still, after Randy did the job at Payback, and Seth did the job tonight, the Rocket is officially strapped to the Limitless One. Let's see what he can do with it. Well, that episode was certainly all over the place. However, I've noticed a strange cohesion to the storylines of the Bruce Pritchard era. They also seem to interconnect in a way we haven't seen in years. Looking back on the show, it's another case where I can't think of anything overtly bad, but there wasn't anything great either. It just combined to make a decently entertaining 3 hours. My criticism remains that there's nothing truly memorable. it all just kind of blurs together. Compare that to AEW, which always seems to leave fans talking. I think until they actually pay off one of their major storylines, like who the hell Retribution is, WWE and Raw in particular are going to continue feeling middle of the road. But hey, if the Thunderdome continues driving up ratings, maybe WWE won't care. Alright, that'll do it for Monday Night Raw. I'll be back tomorrow with AEW Dark reactions from my garage pool, so definitely check back for that. As always, if you've managed to find me and enjoyed that video, make sure to do all the normal YouTube stuff. Smash that like button, share with any wrestling or action figure fans you may know, subscribe to the channel, and spread the word. You can also talk to me over on Twitter, @PSUOptimus. But until next time, I'll catch you later.